The dogs would in fact be happier because this is their first choice. Dogs only turn to other species when they are frustrated. It's basically masturbation. Because while my dog attacked the pillow a couple of times to fix his urges, he was very thrilled, perhaps more thrilled, to track his female smell and lick her areas, mounted her when she moved her tail aside and lose his doggy innocence. Face it, there are plenty of better ways to give an animal its sex life than buying it and calling it your BF. These ways actually look into the rights and benefits of the animals versus the people. Again, vasectomy is not natural, but I already went through that. This person is claiming something very, very odd, especially if you know who Aluzky is and what he does. She is claiming that anal sex increases the risk of anal cancer and rectal tearing. I've never heard that anal sex increases the risk of anal cancer, so if somebody wants to give me evidence of that fact, I'd be more than happy to take a look at it. And if so, I'll claim, okay, there is a health risk there. But I just don't think that the evidence is there yet. As for rectal tearing, that can be avoided with A, proper lubrication, or B, not actually having anal sex with the animal on the receiving end. After all, that particular kind of sex is difficult for the dog to understand because if we're considering a dog to be like most people don't like having things shoved up their butts. And so the same thing can probably be said for most dogs, which is why oftentimes anal sex with them on the receiving end is abusive. But Aluzky doesn't do this. He has stated numerous times that he himself is on the receiving end of this. And if these risks are the only ones which you are claiming to have, then he himself is the one taking on the risk with his boyfriend, who is anally penetrating him. Thus, I don't really see any problem with this. He's taking the risks which he presumably knows about or doesn't care about, and that's fine with me. Alright, so next comment. Oh, and girls can get their tubes tied too. Lol. Tubal ligations. She'll still have cycles and everything. It's what I'm getting my upcoming girl after she has her puppies and experiences motherhood. So she and her BF can still get around to it and keep all their natural hormones. We're also putting them on a barf diet. It's what they would eat in the wild too, and it's ton more healthy with their coat, hormones, energy, teeth, and anatomical health. I'm shocked to a devout animal lover like yourself would not put up healthy ways to take care of your pets since sexuality is so important. I think the animal sexuality issue is real, that much I agree. Okay, what wild dogs have you been exposed to? To me, it seems that dogs were domesticated at least 10,000 years ago, and since then their diets have changed, their behaviors towards us and towards each other have changed to become, in a sense, more puppy-like, but also more amenable to human societies. So I fail to see how one can say that this is what dogs would eat in the wild. At best, what you could say is that this is what wolves would eat in the wild, but wolves are an entirely different species and have not evolved the same digestive systems that dogs have. For instance, dogs are far more omnivorous than wolves, despite having come from the same stock, because they got the start essentially scrounging off of human garbage piles, which often included vegetables in them. So I'm not really sure what wild dogs Somalia is trying to appeal to. I don't think they exist. Anyway, last comment. Who are we to take that experience from an animal and pretend it doesn't exist or shame it and call it bad behavior? But yet, who are we to take and frustrate an animal from puppyhood so frustration and lack of natural mates can force it to mate with us instead of its own desired kind? That's abusing an animal's intelligence and instincts. Why do we get to make decisions like that so we can be sexually fulfilled or without puppies? That's not fair. Okay, on this last one, I'll completely agree. Keeping an animal sexually frustrated for the sole purpose of becoming its mate is manipulative and is therefore wrong. But I don't think that zoophiles actually do this. I think that what they do when they have the opportunity is allow the animal to have sex with its own kind and do so in a responsible manner. After all, this activity can only increase the sexual pleasure that humans get from animals anyway. I mean, think about it for a second. Most dogs starting out, at least most of the medium to large breeds, are going to be relatively small compared to a human being in terms of what they can take. But once a bitch has a litter of puppies, for example, then then obviously her birth canal is widened significantly, and her parts are more accommodating to the human form. So really, it's to our advantage as zoophiles to allow the natural sexual urges of these dogs to come out on occasion, and to allow them to breed maybe once. I wouldn't say let them breed constantly because there's an overpopulation problem. But all the same, I would say that we as zoophiles can have a loving sexual relationship with dogs and understand that the dogs may also want to have sex with their own kind. So that's all I wanted to talk about with this. Basically, I agree that manipulation of an animal's sexual desires is wrong, but I think that the non-zoophile community has much more to worry about in terms of that sort of manipulation and its ethical problems than do zoophiles. Anyway, that's all, and wow, this is a long video, but that's alright.